Learning outcomes. As we have discussed a lot about the types of texts, the students at the end of this module would be able to differentiate between types of text. And this would be very beneficial for their achievements of targets because they would be very clearly known and familiar to what content they are going to use to write a certain type of text. They would also be familiar with the words that they need to use when they are going to write a particular form of text. For example, narrative. They would be knowing what style they need to adopt in order to write a story. A dialogue, they would be knowing that they must use the punctuation marks. And similarly, in writing an argumentative text, they would be knowing that they have to oppose a point and there have to be two opinions displayed in their writing on the argumentative text because it is like a debate that they have to do. So by the end of this module, they would be clearly familiar with the different types of text, and according to the importance of the writing skills, when we are talking about the formal writing and the informal writing, they would be able to differentiate between a formal letter and an informal letter. A diary note, which is usually informal, I said, but it can be converted to formal writing later on, depending on the points that have been written in the diary. And similarly, a report can be having a very formal writing. It must be actually used while writing a report, and the writer should be using formal writing because in a report the writer cannot really add much to what his emotions are or other things which are surrounding the incident, because a factual report would be based on just formal writing, giving the exact details of the happening that has taken place. And similarly, when they are looking at a narrative, it can be a formal narrative and it can be an informal narrative. But usually in academic writing, if they are writing a narrative, it will be more of formal writing. So basically what the students are doing, they are comparing the formal writing with the informal writing and then looking at the text and then thinking whether this text can be both formal and informal, or a particular text would be more formal, like for example for a report, it would be more formal, less of informal. It can be informal in certain texts, like for example, when I say somebody is making a report on a celebrity, they might use some informal language, but strictly speaking, a report should be formal. So in that way, they would be able to differentiate, also compare, link it to the types of text, and then decide for themselves which skill they would be good at, which type of text would they choose to write on if they are given a choice for that, which should be actually given to them so that they can develop the creative skills in that particular skill in which they think they would be able to use either the formal style of writing or the informal style of writing. That is how writing skills would be developed in the student, with the awareness of the type of texts they have to go through, with the awareness of differentiating between the text to use formal writing or informal writing, and to also think about which would be more beneficial to use, whether it would be an advantage to use formal writing for that particular text, or would it be better to use informal writing for writing that particular text. They can also do the exercise of doing that, comparing it, producing both the samples. For example, they can use both formal and informal form of writing in writing a report, and then look at both of them and then decide for themselves. This would be giving them more independence to be independent learners and decide for themselves whether they are good at formal writing or informal writing.